It's time for the Court Report, our bi-weekly segment with the Upper Midwest Law Center. They are a nonprofit public interest law firm on the front lines, dedicated to defending constitutional freedoms and the rule of law.
Gotta be honest, the guy with the great voice doesn't get everything out in that intro. Front lines. This is the battle. This is where things are going to get done and fixed, and if it isn't here, it's nowhere. And I can't be more thankful that I get you on this program every other week to discuss it, sir. Doug Seaton, folks, founder of the Upper Midwest Law Center. What I mean by that, I sit here, watch. I'm just a lay guy, but I read all this news and all this is going on, and I keep seeing your group coming up in the Supreme Court. This literally omnibus bill lawsuit you're in my opinion, can change the way the state runs for the next 200 years, and you guys are on the front end. I love this stuff, and I love that you come on and talk to us about it. Happy Thanksgiving to you and yours. You have big plans?
Thank you, Al. Yes, very much so. Glad to be with you as always.
Yeah.
And we're going to be with our one of our two daughters and her family in Alexandria, Virginia, where we are now. So we're going to have a great time.
Congratulations. And is it standard Thanksgiving fare? Are you able to jump? Okay, fair enough.
It really is. We're going to have the usual stuff: turkey, sweet potatoes, pumpkin pie, the whole 9 yards. It's going to be very nice.
Fair enough.
Eat too much.
Well, it's nice to have those third world problems where tomorrow you need your stretchy pants because you're going to eat too much. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. That's something to be thankful.
Once a year, twice a year.
You guys, like I say, on the front end of all this, what's the latest stuff the Upper Midwest Law Center's been working on?
Well, you mentioned the omnibus bill, so I'll do a quick take on that. We actually had a new filing. The DFL caucuses in the state legislature, both the House and the Senate, filed an amicus brief, sort of trying to save their gigantic 1,300-page bill, 1,400 pages, depending on how you count, which has struck down. It struck down because of our work to do it with the Gun Owners Caucus. So they appealed. So we're on the way up to the appeals court and the state Supreme Court. We're very excited. We think we have a chance to have the whole bill struck down. But that threat has brought the DFL caucuses out of the woodwork to challenge it. So we're going to have a very full courtroom, I suspect, when we have this argument.
I'm not a smart man, but you're telling me the DFL actually is going to appeal what happened. And what is an amicus brief look? Did they really write down the words? Because I read it. It says one thing about every bill should be about one thing, and the title should tell you what it's all about. And there's a lawyer for them that wrote that down and then said, but we don't believe it. We like these 1,300-page bills. What is their argument to that? I mean, honest argument.
It's a pretty, it's not exactly an honest argument, Al. So the Attorney General is arguing, well, just pay no attention to that because this is a political question. So the court shouldn't interpret the Constitution because we say it's a political issue, so leave well enough alone. Even though the court said many times this is something we're in charge of deciding what this constitutional language means and what the legislature can and can't do under that language. So it's a bad deal, and their argument's bad. We think we should win. We sure hope we will for the state of Minnesota and its people.
Okay, the inside baseball stuff. So you're just lawyer guy out there, and even the DFL has had to have read that and think, are we on any kind of solid ground whatsoever? And they go off and try to hire a lawyer. Do you get extra pay to say, even I can't get behind this? You know, oh my God, hazard pay for taking such a weird deal on?
You sure would think so. So that's one thing we're doing is still fighting that fight because you got to go all the way up the court line to keep that fight going. So, but we've got many things going on.
I love that. Keep up that fight there and keep us informed because I find this, if the Supreme strike this down and they got to go to this one bill, one deal, all the way they play games at the Capitol's going to change. Both sides. They're going to have to stand up for this. Is going to be fun. All right, what else you got working on? You always got something going on.
Well, we've got the. I'll tell you a quick story. It's not in the courts yet, but we have a Bemidji teacher in the high school at Bemidji who spoke at a rally for Turning Point. Turning Point USA, and is trying to help kids there form a Turning Point chapter. And as soon as he did all that, just coincidentally, he gets disciplined. He gets put on administrative leave for a fanciful violation of appropriate behavior. We still don't know exactly what they mean. And we think they're retaliating against him for exercising his First Amendment rights. So we are going to see that through as he wants us to, and fight in court if we have to get him reinstated. That's just not right. That shouldn't be what happens to people because they're public employees. They have just as much rights as anybody else as long as they're not disrupting their work and workplace. And he didn't.
Well, to get in trouble because you want to start a Turning Point USA chapter, I mean, really? Okay, but let me ask you this. How is that a whole lot different than, was it Prior Lake? Yeah, you're on charge of that one. There's a Prior Lake teacher who sent an email out, I think, whatever, a Facebook post to her friends in a small group, and one of those in the small group sent it off, I don't know, I'm getting the story right, but sent it off to a bigger group, and then it ends up showing up at the PTA meeting or whatever, and now since she's in trouble.
Yes. Exactly.
Do you have to keep fighting the same fight over and over again, or do these marry up somewhere at the Supreme Court and they're like, guys, just stop it. Let these teachers be themselves?
We sure hope so. We don't think we should have to fight this fight over and over again. And the schools have been told they can't promote one side, one viewpoint or another. They've been told they can't propagandize their kids in court cases that we've brought. The Zahn case you mentioned is still underway, but we have good reason to believe we're going to prevail there, and the courts are going to say, you can't smack this teacher down for a private, off-duty, non-disruptive communication to others about a political issue. You can't do it.
Yeah.
But they keep doing it anyway. As somebody once said, you got to fight for liberty every generation, every time you turn around.
Well, that is just amazing. So that gal, she's already got her court in, and you guys are down the road a little ways on this. This is fresh. So just so I can kind of figure out how this goes. This teacher, I think you said he comes to you and says, I'm getting screwed here. And you guys say, you're right, you are. You should be able to do this. Do you go to the local court judge right there in town, or what's your first move, and who do you file it with?
In a case like this, we probably would file it with the federal court. So it's federal district court in Minnesota. So we end up mostly in either St. Paul or Minneapolis, sometimes in Duluth, where the courts actually do sit. Some of these cases go to state court, but this one is likely a First Amendment case. So we're likely going to be in federal court unless we have to fight in some administrative procedure first, which is possible.
Okay. And then you're the Upper Midwest Law Center. I presume, and I could be wrong here, so I probably shouldn't do that, is a lot of what you do then via email? You type up a great letter to that federal court judge and said, Judge, take a gander this bet. Are you driving to Duluth a lot? I mean, or is all this handled on a Zoom call? How does a lot of this happen?
Those are very good questions. Used to be you'd always have to go to court. The filing of something could take place remotely. You see, we first file the papers, the complaint, then a judge gets assigned. And then mostly in the past, it was always you sat down with that judge at the various points when pieces of the case get determined. But now there is a lot more of that done by Zoom. And so we will have Zoom hearings from time to time often. And so that's got its benefits. It's got its downsides. Yeah. We'd prefer to be in court most of the time.
Sure.
And Minnesota has more of those opportunities than a lot of other states do. So we're very blessed to have courts that will listen to us in person most of the time.
But even going down further, I think you said he was from Bemidji. The Bemidji guy got a hold of you. I guess I'm trying to shorten up the state for him. Bemidji guy can send you a text if anybody listening to the show hears something and I got a problem. They can send you an email. I don't have to necessarily drive down to where your offices are. You guys could hook up via the Zoom as well. So it isn't Bemidji guy driving down here 5 times to see if he can get this back. Right?
No, we deal for ourselves with our clients. We're certainly, once we've started a case, we like to meet person to person, but they don't have to keep coming back and forth. No. Yeah. And usually the startup like this is all by email and phone and text. And that's how we get a grip on this, look at documents and have a conversation with the would-be client. So people can go to our website, they can go to our intake portal, and they can send us an email. That's the best way. Give us some facts, and we'll do our best to get back. And I can promise so far we've been able to get back to everybody who contacts us, at least with something. They don't all have cases. They're not all cases we can handle. But we do get them some guidance no matter what every time. Do our best.
I think if anybody's listening to this, you really have to look at whatever you're thinking about and say, okay, is this me against my neighbor? Or is this something that's busting up against the Constitution? You guys are Constitution guys, right? You guys are saying this is my fundamental right as a human, and if that breaks that barrier, then get a hold of Doug and the Upper Midwest Law Center, right? I mean, that's how I got to look at it?
That is pretty much true, Al. We do have some cases that are violations of statutory law, but most of what we do has to do with the Constitution. So the way we put it to people is, if it's just, your personal fight and that, we're sympathetic. We can sometimes refer you to people or tell you what to do at the front end. We can't do it ourselves. But if it's a big picture thing and it's going to affect lots of people, we'll do our best to analyze that, confirm it, and then see if we can have if there is a case basis, we'll take it on. We'll do it.
Right. And you should go to UMLC, Upper Midwest Law Center, UMLC.org. They've got an easy contact page there. Put your stuff down and let them get back to you. I got to go to break. I know you've got more to talk about. You guys are on the front end of all this. We talk more with Doug right after this on the Al Travis Show.
Are you tired of government? As in alligator. L also in alligator. But it's not alligator. It's the Al Travis Show.
And we're in the middle of the court report, and this is the stuff that can change our lives here in Minnesota. And you probably don't even know about it, but it's happening. Doug, other things you guys got working on, maybe new stuff, anything going on that we haven't heard before?
Yes, happy to talk about it. We've got, everybody may remember that we fought to stop police defunding, representing Black North Minneapolis residents who said, we don't want the police defunded. That's the last thing we want. And so we won that case. The courts forced the city to stop defunding the police, but they haven't gone far enough. They haven't got the numbers up to where they're supposed to be, even for a minimum, a couple hundred short still.
Really?
And so we've sent the mayor a letter. We said, we need to meet to talk about this. They declined to meet. So we may have to go back to court to get the city to do what it's supposed to do under the charter. There's no doubt of what they got to do. They haven't done it. So we think the courts should know about it, that they're being ignored.
Okay, so now you're saying you got all the way to the win. You get the win, and the judge says, yes, you've got to follow this in their charter, and they still don't, and you got to go back and fight that. What is the repercussion? I guess if you thumb your nose at the judge, you know what I'm saying? Do they got to find a way? What do you do?
Your instinct is exactly right, and it's my instinct too. And I've been in court sometimes when orders are ignored, and people have actually been put in jail because they've been ignored, or they've been fined because of it. It's similar to a fine. That's what it is. Really, they have to pay money if they violate the order. So far, the city has been getting away with this. We don't think they should anymore. So we're going to seek to have some remedies. Usually they don't want to tell the city exactly what to do to get the police numbers up, but they may start to do that now. They may say, here's ABC, you got to do these things because you haven't done it when we gave you discretion to fix it yourselves. So now we're going to tell you what to do.
Is trying enough as well? I mean, I guess the thing would be, did they raise pay? No, we didn't do that. Well, okay, did you raise benefits? No, we didn't. Well, what in the world did you do? Is that the king? Are they going to say, well, we raised it $500 a year, still no one came, we gave it a shot? Because it's almost, I guess my point from their end, we tried, didn't get there. Well, did you try hard enough? Is that enough?
They are going to say, we get an A for effort court, and we're going to say that's not good enough. The charter doesn't have exceptions for best behavior. It says you got to get to these numbers. So if what you haven't done doesn't work, you got to go back and do something else. And other employers have had shortfalls and staffing problems. The medical industry is full of these issues, and they've provided bonuses and stay bonuses and sign-on bonuses. That something has to be done to fix this. And of course, they made a mess of it. They made it hard for anybody to really want to work there as a police officer. But they've got to do whatever they need to do to get this accomplished. That's our view.
That stuff is crazy. I'm just glad you're there to be there. What else? Do you have anything else for me? I don't want to cut you off.
It's so many things. We had 60 cases, as you know, so I could go on forever.
Well, that's kind of my point is I don't know how you keep track of it all. I mean, if you were just the anti-smoking guy and you just concentrate on that, I get that. But you guys are everywhere on everything. If it comes to Minnesota's Constitution, it's got to run you crazy.
Well, it does run you a little crazy, and you can get some burnout, and so we're not. That's why we're now up to 6 lawyers, because we realize we've got to have a lot of help, and we hope our supporters understand that we're asking you to contribute, and all we do with the money is put people in court to fight with no junkets, no nothing. No. We are simply here to fight the fights that need to be fought, and we're very glad to be able to do it. We've got these pharmacists. You heard about that in one of our earlier announcement. We've got a hearing coming right up with them on the 2nd of December, and that's because the Walgreens, that's their employer, who's refused to accommodate them. For people to remember, these are the pharmacists who said we can't dispense abortion drugs, we can't dispense gender change drugs
for religious reasons. That right? Is there religious
reasons? We've got religious objections. They're supposed to accommodate that. Walgreens is. And so is the state. Now, Walgreens blames the state blames Walgreens. We're sure that's how it usually works. But the state can't do this because of the First Amendment, and Walgreens can't do it because of the discrimination laws. Neither one gets off the hook on this. They have to allow them to do what they've been doing. They've had other pharmacists who've been willing to dispense these things if that's what the people want. These particular pharmacists can't do it. And that's what we have a right to say. You got to accommodate that. So we're going to go to court and make that stick if we can. And we'll see who's at fault. If it's Walgreens, if it's the state, if it's both, we'll have them answer.
This is in my head then. So I see you coming in. Doug Seaton sits on the left-hand side. The judge is in his spot. And what, you got a lawyer or two from Walgreens and then the attorney general from Minnesota sitting against you? Oh, my God. You're like
That's
boxing upwards. You're like Rocky or something. Holy smokes! These guys have massive money, massive lawyers, I presume. The governor.
We sometimes have a whole phalanx of lawyers on the other side. It's a David and Goliath story frequently, I'm afraid, but we do pretty darn well considering.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You're always winning. That's what I'm always reading about. I've got to fly because I'm out of time. Again, It's Upper Midwest Law Center, UMLC.org. If you feel you've been unjustly treated on kind of something a lot of us could deal with, a statewide thing, get a hold of Upper Midwest Law Center. Fair enough?
Thank you very much, Al. Glad to be
you
with
and yours have a great Thanksgiving. We'll get you back here in a couple weeks.
You also, Al.
Right.
Take good care. Bye-bye.
Doug Seaton, Upper Midwest Law Center.
That's the court. We'll see you in 2 weeks for the next court report.